TCT presents Public Report, a look at the issues and events of importance to our viewing area. Now, here's your host.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm Pat Reese, and I have the great privilege of talking to Pastor Josh Dieter from First Church of God in Tallmadge and Joann Partno. Yes, welcome. Thank you. TCT's public report highlights companies, organizations, ministries, and people like you and me that make a difference in our community for God and for good. Talk to me about Joann's Pantry. How did Joann's Pantry get started, and how is it different from other pantries in the area?
Well, I'll let Alana answer this. It's obviously named after Joann Bartholomew, and she was a friend of Alana's and somebody Alana and people in our church knew over 25 years ago. And so, Alana, will you answer that question?
Joann was a very much loved and respected woman in our church. And one Wednesday evening when she was leaving church to go home, she came up to Chapel Hill Mall, and she was attacked and really murdered. And it was just very devastating for the church community and for their family. And as a way of, I think, the part of the grieving process, the church was seeking to do something, and when the idea of a food pantry came into their thoughts, they decided to name it to honor her memory, and it's been going on ever since. There have been 25 years of service to the community through this organization. Hundreds of people have worked there. Thousands of people have been served meals. It's not uncommon for, in particular, my husband, who's worked there for years, to encounter someone in a store and say, "You look familiar," and they'll say, "Well, we've been down. Do you go to Joann's Pantry?" And the conversation evolves, and we find out that that's the connection. I am sad about the loss that you experience as a church family. Pastor Josh, how did you walk through that time with your congregation, and where are you now?
Well, I wasn't there during that time. I've only been at First Church in Tallmadge for a year, actually today, I think. And so I've been there for a year, but when I got there and I heard about this ministry, I was extremely impressed by it and really excited about it, because as we were talking even before this program, God had taken something that somebody obviously meant for evil and it's good now. I mean, he's redeemed that situation. And I think any of us, as we look back on our lives, if we can have that type of impact that Joann had, I mean, she is still, because of who she was and the life that she put out to those in the church community, over 6,000 families are fed every year.
Over 6,000?
Over about 6,000 families. And so that ends up being, we've calculated roughly over 7,000 children get a meal from us, about 6,000 adults, and somewhere around 2,500 seniors are all fed by this ministry. And so to kind of answer the question, what makes us different too than the average food pantry is, when I thought of a food pantry, I was told when I was coming here that we got a food pantry, and I thought, great, we've got a closet with some food in it that people occasionally come get, because that's kind of been my experience with food pantries. And when I was candidating and getting ready to come to the church, they took me by this building, and still looking at the outside, okay, it's a big closet that gives out food. And then you go in and you experience it, and you're there on the Tuesday or Thursday when they're serving, and it's much different than a closet with some food in it. You see it's staffed with volunteers and people. When we first arrived, I mean, you're just lined up outside of the pantry, and then they leave with a box of food to take home with them, and everything you can think of. I mean, all the basic necessities, but including meat. You give a coffee. I think they give pet food out at times.
Pet food. It depends on what's available. Really?
Yeah. And so, yeah, you go ahead and tell them what you got to give out, because you know better than I do.
Well, a large portion of what we are able to provide to our clients is food that is purchased from the Akron Food Bank.
Okay.
So it depends on what's available from them, what we'll be able to serve. And then, of course, there are people and groups that do also collect from their different locations and make those donations available too. So we're able to serve people with whatever becomes available to us. And we try to be good stewards of the finances that we have, but we are all volunteers and we are totally dependent on contributions as far as being able to pay our rent and keep the lights on and keep the shelves full.
So this is the nonprofit connected to the church?
Yeah, we as a church, for instance, I tried to get Luana's husband to come on here, because what I tell people is I'm just the pastor of the church that has the pantry. Luana and a group of volunteers run the pantry. They run it through our 501c, and so we do have designated funds that we set aside for the pantry to make sure that it goes towards the pantry, and every dime goes either towards rent, the building, or food. Most of it goes to food, and so nobody makes a dime off of it. Nobody gets paid. When you donate to the pantry, you're donating to the pantry and those people being served, which is just incredible.
It's incredible in the fact that for 25 years, you have a pantry that's still functioning. How do you get your volunteers and how do you keep them?
There's a special bond and community there. People want to serve. We just recently were able to put our record keeping online. And so that meant moving people who are accustomed to doing the paperwork by paper and pencil to the technology age. And some of them were not comfortable with that. And they said, am I going to lose my job? Is there going to be a place for me? Please, can I come back and work? I'll do whatever other positions are available. I really don't want to work on the computer. So that's the kind of commitment that so many of these people have. A large portion of them are retirees.
Okay.
And we have, in fact, the director who just retired this year, retired at the age of 95.
Yeah.
95.
94, I think.
94 when he retired. He just had a birthday, turned 95. And he had to step down because of health issues. So we still have a lot of people that are working there that are in their 80s. One of the gentlemen that works regularly is 87. We have ongoing operation, different things that we have to do each week in order for us to be able to distribute food to people every month.
So every month, and I know Pastor Josh, you said Tuesday and Thursday. So walk with me through that. If I would come in to get food, what would I have to do?
You would come in,
And could I? Is it a certain zip code, or how does that work?
we started out, we were only able to serve a certain zip code. We're in the 44305 zip code. And because of our ability to serve as we grew over the years, we now serve all of Summit County. Which we're very pleased to do. When you would come, you would have to have proof of address, an identification, and then you would have to sign a document stating that your income level was below the federal requirements for you to receive food. Then your name and information would be put into the database, and then we would also record the number of people living in your household. And when you were finished doing that, then you would take a seat and wait, and as soon as someone was able to serve you, which we've been able to speed that process up because we just moved to a new office front in the same building we were in, but larger, so that we're more able to serve our clients. And you come in, you get your meat initially, and that's based on the size of your family, but we were limited. You only get one meat portion per family, which that's not a lot.
But the fact that you give meat,
I mean, I'm one of the few pantries that give meat at all. But we feel that it's important because these people are depending on this at least one time a month maybe that they're going to have meat. So they get their meat and then they shop the shelves, and sometimes they go through and one of our workers will work with them and they make sure that they don't miss something that's there that they could have.
so you don't already have a box prepared for me that you say, here, next?
No, because we found that that's not efficient, that some people just don't like spaghetti, let's say. So if I gave you spaghetti, you would leave it sitting somewhere else or give it away. So we would rather keep that on our shelves and let you choose if you want to take the spaghetti or not.
Yeah, Marple, the guy who had just retired, I remember him telling me this story when originally it was all kind of prepackaged and kind of planned. And he said one day I was sitting around going, would I want to go to the grocery store and then just give me what I wanted, or what they wanted to give me? And he said, I decided I didn't want anybody else to do that for me, and so we wanted to change it so they could come through and decide within reason what they were going to take and what they wanted and could have. So
That makes you very unique, let me say. That they can actually say, you know what, I don't want the potatoes, I'd rather have the rice.
yeah.
Yes, and we try to group those things so that they can choose. We pick up bread at a couple of locations aside from the food bank, so that we are able to provide people with usually 2 bread choices when they pick up. We pick up fresh fruits and vegetables right before our distribution, and those don't even come inside. We distribute those from a trailer on the street, so that we're able to have more, because we wouldn't be able to get them in the door and have enough to go around, because we have to plan on a monthly basis to serve 500 families. 500 people will come through the door.
I was just going to ask you how you even were able to do that. So you're estimating that at least once a month, you get that food once a month, twice a month?
Yeah, tell them if somebody wanted to come, when they would come.
It's the last full week of each month on a Tuesday or Thursday. You can come and sign up and come through, pick up your food, and as long as you meet the income requirements, you're welcome to come and be served. Anyone in the Summit County area is welcome to be served.
And where would they come?
It is 286 Pioneer Street.
Pioneer Street. And where's Pioneer Street?
It crosses Goodyear Boulevard and Newton Street. It's across street from there, and it's the corner of Pioneer and Sprague is actually the corner that it would sit on.
And what time?
And what time? From 9 to 3 on Tuesday and Thursday.
And as long as I'm in line, I'll be able to get in and possibly get something to eat.
Yes.
The neat thing is they got a new place, and
they're like kids with
it's about twice as big, and it's flat. And so you've got the seniors who are serving there, so it's a benefit to them, and then a lot of the people, obviously, that need to be served are disabled, and so now there's no stairs upstairs when you walk in. But they've streamed everything with the computers now, and they've got more space, and so typically in the past they've served 500 families, and that's about all you've had time to do, right?
Yes.
Now, though, I believe, because you could almost, I believe they're to the point where they could serve up to 1,000 families if they had the funds and the food available, and those families showed up because of how the new building and the way they've streamlined the process of coming in and out has just sped things up quite a bit.
Are you expecting more people with the economic times being as they are? Are you expecting more people, and how are you preparing for that?
Well, we just try to trust the Lord to provide, and then try to be as prepared as we can to meet the needs of the people that come. We do the best we can to serve everyone who comes. Once you're in our system, that's one of the things that's so streamlined is that once your information's in the database, you can sign electronically. All we need to do is see your proof of address and your ID, and you type in your initials and click OK, and you immediately move through the process. So between that and the new layout, where we're able to staff the shelves from the back so that the food keeps coming to the front and people can move through without being interrupted. That process is improved too, so that it moves more quickly. And we're hoping, it just broke my heart because when we knew that people would come and be outside 2 hours in the weather waiting, and that there was just nothing we could do because the old facility had stairs and there wasn't even enough room for the people who were in there working, let alone having any extra people in there. So it was just such a blessing. Now there's a flat entry, no steps to come in. We have a handicap accessible restroom for the clients to use if they need that. We have women who come and some men too, but we have a woman I know that comes clear across town on the SCAT bus, and she's in a wheelchair, and then she has to wait for another SCAT bus to take her back, so we'll be able to have her inside while she's waiting now, and I'm so excited about that.
I hear your heart. I feel your heart, Pastor Josh and Luana. Just for you to smile like that and say, you know what, I'm glad she doesn't have to be out in the elements.
Oh, yes.
To run a pantry for 25 years, and you still have the volunteers and you still have the funding, it's got to be a God thing.
Yes. He shows up every time there's a need. He has shown up so big and so powerful, and we just are just so blessed. So blessed.
And Pastor Josh, you have to be blessed by what they're doing and how they're helping. I mean, to go from one zip code to whole Summit County, that's major stuff. That's major.
Yeah, it really is incredible to see our church serving in that capacity. I mean, we're not a very large congregation, and to see what really a small group of people can do out of our congregation is pretty incredible. God has really blessed that ministry. He continues to bless that ministry. And they're in a season right now of, I think, blessing, really. They've been able to get some grants that they've never gotten in the past. But Luana's vision for the ministry is still pretty large, too, which is great because this is a group of people that she's really felt called to serve. And so to hear about some of the things hopefully that the pantry will continue to do, which is feed those who are hungry and live below the poverty line, that's needed. But as with this new facility and then also space opening up around them, I think she's hoping that a prayer ministry comes out of this as well. And so you're getting more than food. And you always do. The people always do when they come in there. I try to make sure I go visit at least once or twice a week while it's open. I almost get elbowed out because there's not enough room to serve because we have so many volunteers. But it's great to see people sharing the gospel and praying for people. But I think Luana wants to see even the pantry be a little more intentional about that, whether it's a prayer ministry beside them or potentially some type of medical organization partnering with them too, because obviously the same groups the same clients that are coming to get food could probably use some checkups and some medical help as well. And so we're kind of just praying that God continues to bless it and see where He takes it next. And but to the point, like I said, where we can almost double the amount of people they're able to feed if the funds come in. And if some of those, if the funds come in and the food's there. So it's really neat to see that in the life of our church. And we're partnering with some other churches as well.
And we'd like to reach beyond where we're at now to reach out to other churches because we know that people are not everybody's going to drive to Tallmadge to come to church, but we know that when people come, with physical need, you can sense pretty easily that there are a lot of who have spiritual needs, and they maybe have lost a connection to a church. But when you start to talk with them, you know they have had a faith history, and you'd like to be able to have some places that you know are safe, comfortable places for hurting people to go, and have other needs met, and be able to come back into fellowship and be ministered to. So we'd like to be able to reach out to some of the other churches in the community and make sure that we can partner with them in some of those kinds of ministry opportunities, and as well as expanding what we do as far as praying for people and just seeing where God's going to take us. But we're very, very excited.
And you should be. It sounds like you not only care about providing sustenance, but you want to provide for the total person, and especially their spiritual needs.
Yes, because when you start to listen to their stories, you know that many of them they didn't get where they are in a day, and they're not going to get out of where they're at in a day. So a box of food is not going to solve many of the problems that they're facing in their lives, and we just need to be able to surround them with people who will care and love them and support them, which is what the body of Christ is supposed to do.
That's exactly right. What do you want the viewing audience to know about Joann's Pantry and how they can help? I want you to look in that camera and share that right now, both you, Luana, and Pastor Josh.
Well, we would really appreciate your prayer support. If you're able to provide any financial support, we can assure you that it will go directly to serve the clients that we serve. It is more beneficial for us to receive money than it is to receive a can, because we're able to purchase food from the food bank at a reduced cost. We would love to hear from you if you are willing to partner with us to help support people who are hurting and need to be ministered to within the Summit County area. If you have some other desire to work with us and you have a ministry that you feel would be a good partnership, then we would love to hear from you.
And where can they reach you?
They can reach us through the First Church of God.
Yeah, if you feel led to donate or would like to donate, I'd encourage you to go to firstchurchtallmadge.com and then click on the Giving tab, and you can designate your giving to Joann's Pantry, and every dime will go to the pantry. Nobody sees any of that money. All that goes towards either food or rent, and thankfully we've even gotten discounted rent. So they're very frugal, which is a good thing. They're very responsible, I should say. They're good stewards. So if you feel led to donate, firstchurchtallmadge.com, click on the Giving tab, and you can designate your giving to Joann's Pantry. And I encourage anybody who feels led to do that. We definitely want some partners with this ministry, particularly some of the more local churches. And so if anybody lives in the area near Sprague Street and the street where they're at now, which is Pioneer, get a hold of us, because we would love to funnel people into your congregations.
That is amazing. So it sounds like that you are definitely tracking with God, and God is blessing you to be in a new facility. When did you move in?
We just moved last month. We were in right before our distribution lot in September, so it's really brand spanking new. In fact, we even just got 2 new church pews so that people can sit in pews and not folding chairs that are not very comfortable, and it makes for seating that we can once again get a few more people in the door when the weather's not the best. So we're excited about that. Yeah, in fact, our landlord generously donated some refrigerators to us when we moved, which we need refrigeration, of course, for cold food and so forth. And Office Furniture Warehouse donated some furniture to us.
Really?
So, God has used a lot of different people to show up and just fulfill the needs that we've had. another congregation are the ones that donated the pews to us. So, and the food, the grant for the food that came through the food bank. So God has just at every turn been, I tell people sometimes God has a just-in-time delivery system. And if you're willing to move forward, He's going to have what you need just in time.
And Luana, have you been with this ministry from the beginning, from the onset?
I have not, but my husband has been working there for over 10 years. And I just came on, I worked there part-time quite a few years ago. And then I've had other responsibilities in the meantime. But my husband and I decided to step in and take over the leadership because the ministry looked like it was going to be retired when our leader his health was failing, and there was question as to whether we were going to be able to carry on. And we just felt God said, no. And He called us into this leadership role.
I am so glad, and I know Pastor Josh is very glad about that.
Yeah, I'm really, I think, a good kind of proud of Luana and Jim and the team that comes together, because we were talking about this beforehand. It's mostly a group of retired persons in our church, and it's just great to see people using that time that they now have. I was talking to Luana and Jim. I think if really we reflect on the opportunity we get, hopefully, if you get the opportunity to retire, it's probably the only time in your life where, in reality, you get to choose what you want to do and have all that time to really make a difference. When you're a child, you're going to school. You might have free time afterwards or before, but until that time, you don't have all that free time to make a difference and make an impact in the world. And to see people in our congregation not retiring from Christianity and making a difference and being salt and light is just a huge blessing.
It is a blessing.
And I think even our believers who aren't involved in some type of ministry after retirement, I think this is a good example to them and for them.
It's an outstanding example. I am so glad, Luana. Thank you so much. And Pastor Josh, God bless you and all that you're doing for the kingdom and for the people in our community, Summit County. Thank you so much for being with us in Public Report.
Thank you for having us.
You're more than welcome.
This has been Public Report discusses the issues of interest and importance to our viewing area. Please remember, the views expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily represent